Hello. Hi, I'm Lise Colucci, and I am one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships and to move on with your lives after toxic relationships. All the good info is over at queenbeing.com if you need any help with anything regarding narcissist abuse, anything to help understand narcissism or anything like that. Head over there and check it out. Also, check out the support groups that are listed there in case you need it. If you need help with coaching or group coaching, you can find my info in the main description of every video. Hello, Winter. If you are new here, hit subscribe. If you like these, hit thumbs up. We're going to get going. I have a big, huge topic today. So we're going to get started quickly here. And hey, Mo. We're talking today about dating after narcissistic abuse or toxic relationships. Let's call it that. I have 3 pages of information here because, hi Cookie, and Bonnie, hello. These are questions that were asked by fellow survivors of toxic abuse, narcissistic abuse. And so these are like direct questions from people who are out there trying to re-engage in the dating world. And so we're going to talk about that today. You dating you. You can translate it if you do not feel like this is for you because you don't ever want to do that again, which is totally fair. You can translate the dating world to friendship world. You can translate it to re-engaging with other people world. It doesn't have to be romantic. We're going to talk about it in a romantic sense because this is the questions that were asked of me from people who are trying to do this, and we need to get some safety and understanding around it to help, right? So, but it can be translated to any kind of contact you have with anyone that you're letting into your world, okay? So we're gonna get started. If you would like texting notifications of my going live, text me at 33222, put the word Lise Live, LISELIVE, hit send, and I will text you about 10 minutes prior to going live each time. Again, if you've not hit subscribe, do so. And if you enjoy these, hit the thumbs up. Okay, let's go. All right. Winter's saying, wow, I would like to relate to people at a new workplace. Exactly. So really, I mean, I'm going to talk about it in the dating sense, but you can translate it however you need to for yourself, relating to any situation with new people in your life where you are in a position where you're opening yourself up to needing to trust them, to be around them, to be friends with them, whatever it is. Okay, so let's go. All right, you like that, re-engaging with others, safe enough people. So here we go. We're going to start with the questions that were asked of me. And this is just some of the questions. Hello, is that Diorlovic? Did I say that right? And what about letting new friends know about your past abuse or not? That's one of the questions. So we're gonna let me just get started with these, and if you have other questions, just keep going with them, and I will get to them. Okay. So where to start? Somebody asked where to start. Where do you start with dating new friends? Whatever. Okay. So we're gonna talk dating. You translate it how you need to for yourself in your life. Okay. Where to start? Well, you just start where you're at, right? You got where to start. I'm going to answer. Actually, I'm going to take that question and come back to it because a lot of these other questions will answer where to start. You need to be in a position where you are ready to see yourself. Where to start is to be secure enough in your self-love, your self-esteem. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect and like at your very best, right? But you need to be secure enough to know you're not going to let in toxic abuse because it plays back into some old pattern that you have for your life, or that you're not building self-esteem based on somebody's attention. Because I'll tell you what, you meet new people, dating or not, they give you attention. That's what draws us to people. It's not a bad thing to get attention, but if we're out there looking for attention to fulfill our need for self-esteem and self-love, then you're opening up a door that can lead to toxic abuse. It can lead to unhealthy relationships with non-toxic people, all right? So what's more important to me when I'm thinking of dating is that what do you want? You want a healthy relationship, regardless whether it's dating or friendship, right? Hello, little red big smile. I like that name. Okay, and What are you saying, Bonnie? When you feel like you just came out of a concentration camp, it's hard to even think of trusting anyone. You're not here to trust anyone. You are here to learn to trust yourself. All right. We are not going out there and saying, hi, here's my heart. Would you like it? I trust you. No, it takes time and it takes awareness and communication and connection and a whole lot of things to be able to build trust toward a relationship. So I'm not here to tell you that you just need to go out and trust. Absolutely not. That is not it. Okay. It's learning to trust yourself. And so where you start is by learning where your vulnerabilities are and where you are opening the door to let people in that can fulfill the needs you should be fulfilling for yourself, if that makes sense. And in a healthy relationship, it will fulfill those needs. Okay. It's not to say we have to do everything ourselves and in total isolation. That's a lot of times when you're ready to go out there and be around other people, I would hope that your self awareness is pretty high and that you are willing to look at the things you need to see in yourself so that you are learning to take care of your own emotional state, right? Instead of going out there and hoping that someone else will fix it or going out there and looking for toxic people. We don't want to go on a narc hunt, okay? We don't want to go on a hunt for toxicity. I think a lot of people, they'll go on a dating app and they'll be like, well, there's nothing but narcissists. I'm here to tell you that is not true. Yes, you're going to meet a lot of toxic people in these places. You're going to meet a lot of toxic people anywhere in the world when you're out there, like putting yourself out there. Hi, I want to be a friend, or I want to date you, or whatever. Yeah, you're going to meet toxic people. But I think more than likely what you're going to come across is people not ready to be dating, people too injured, people who haven't done their work, people who don't have the emotional intelligence we gain from healing from narcissistic abuse. It puts our standards really high. And that's a good thing. So when it looks like everyone is toxic and when it looks like everyone is just not meeting your standards, that is a place to start. You say, okay, good. Because if everyone looked good and it was just a giant pool of people to pick from, that would be an indication to me that you're not ready to start. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. And not look at the person you're meeting as the one. There's that. Yes. It's at least 50-50 when you go out and put yourself out there again. It is. Okay. It just is. You're not going out there to be open to other people. For me, it was about going out there to be open to my experience of my own life. All right. I wasn't looking for toxic people, not toxic people. I was looking at the people and deciding if that person is someone that is compatible for my life. And then are they healthy for me as an individual? Okay. So I'm going to keep moving. How do you not be defensive, overcautious, fabricating red flags, closed to new people? Well, that kind of ties in with what I was just saying, right? So how do you not be defensive? Okay, number one, don't go out there looking for the toxicity. We want to be aware of red flags, but you don't go into a situation that is one that you're trying to find someone that is, or friends or whatever, that are healthy for you by looking for the negative. You just have to be aware of who they are so that when you see the negative, when you see the red flags, you're able to step away. And you have to have enough self-worth to know you can, even if they're giving you a ton of attention. You have to understand love bombing is addictive, right? And we know this. So we have to be ready to face that and say, oh, no, I'm not going to believe that, right? So not fabricating red flags. You give people a chance to be who they are and give them a little bit. I mean, some people it's really obvious when you meet people. I can honestly say of this, however many people I met, which is a lot. It was a lot, you guys. It was a lot. Okay. I think I met 2 that were potentially narcissistic. All right. The rest were people that weren't ready or just weren't a match, which is fair. But like a lot of people just weren't ready, emotionally unhealthy, simply because they weren't ready to be doing what they're doing. They were looking for someone to fill their needs, and I'm not that person. All right. So you don't fabricate red flags by looking at exactly what's right in front of you and what's being presented to you. If they're there, they're there. If they're not, they're not. right? You don't need to assume someone's intent. You just give them time to show what they're presenting. And then there's more to it. We're going to get to it. This is just a touching on this issue. There's a lot more down the page. So I'm going to keep moving because there's just a ton to talk about here. Lise, you gotta do it. It has to be done. You just gotta. Okay. When you have CPTSD after a severe narcissistic relationship, it's hard to go amongst the landmines. Again, yes, it is. It's not easy, Bonnie. None of this is easy, and you don't have to do it. Okay. No one's saying we need to all be coupled up and partnered. You can live an amazing life solo, and that's okay. All right. So, but it can also, be with friendships too, right? It's hard to trust anyone but as you learn to trust yourself, it matters way less what other people are throwing at you, because when they start tossing something at you that's toxic, it bounces off. Because I don't need their approval, right? I don't need their approval. I don't need their, the mess they're giving me. No. And okay, so I'm going to keep going here. What to share and not at first. Somebody asked how much to share about your, it's all hard to find. I think, Bonnie, it can be in the attitude of, I look beautiful today. Well, thank you. My hair, I don't know what I did. It got curly. All right. Thank you, Violet. Let's see. What did Bonnie say? Bonnie said something true, but friendships are hard to find. So hard to find. You think friendships are hard to find. Dating is not for the weak of heart. Friendships come next. That's not for the weak. It's not for the faint of heart. It is challenging after abuse. It's challenging when you've had a history of lifetime of toxic relationship, toxic abuse in your life. Okay. So it's okay though. It's okay that it's hard. If it wasn't hard, like I said, there'd be too many. It would be a red flag to me if it was easy, because it would mean that my standards are too low. The higher your standards get for how you're going to be treated, of course, it's hard. There's not a lot of people that are willing or able to meet that, and that's okay. We don't need. People are scary only because we don't understand what's going on in their heads. If we stop assuming what's going on in their heads and look at the actions and words and little details about how they are, they become less scary and more interesting. And then you can make choices about who you want in your life. So here's a number one thing that I want to say. Just because you meet someone that may be toxic doesn't mean you failed or you're a magnet. I don't believe that. I believe that what happens is those things come to us to show us what we don't want anymore, and we walk away. And every time we walk away, we are building strength to walk away and to not take on any toxic people in our life, okay? And they're out there. Toxic people are all over the place. They will talk to anyone. They will try to befriend or date or whatever, anyone they find attractive. It's not so much that we're a magnet to it. It's just that if we don't cut it off soon enough. And that's what makes it feel like we're attracting the same type over and over again. Yeah, they're out there and they will try. But I think the communication is a huge one. Narcissists don't communicate well on a real level. And if you learn to, for yourself, if you learn to be direct and you learn to be not afraid of what people think when you ask a question or you talk to someone, and you learn to be yourself, it's a little bit harder for you not to see it. Okay. Because it feels really different from how you are. And that's kind of vague, I understand, but we're going to keep going. Okay. What to share and not to share about the abuse. I say share very little. It's not anyone's business until they know you and you've welcomed them into your life. Share very, very little. You don't want to sit there bad-mouthing your ex. It doesn't look good. What if this person's an amazing person and you just spent the entire day bad-mouthing your ex, right? That's not fair to the other person. Treat the new relationship or the new meeting with someone that is potentially a person that you want to have a relationship with respect. Treat the whole thing with respect. What do you want to build? Do you want to build something based on your hurts and your pain? Or do you want to build something based on who you are as a strong person, right? I mean, you're strong when you're hurting, but you know what I mean? Who you are when you're a thriving individual who isn't so locked into their pain that that's where they go every time. You're going to be triggered. This is so triggering from day one until you meet someone. And then let me tell you, when you do, the triggers are insane. Okay. But it's good work. It can be good work because you learn a ton about yourself and you learn a ton about what other people's. I learned so much through dating about what it means to be an empath and how it affects me and who I can let around me and who I can't because of it. And how much of my anxieties and my stresses in my entire life have been from being around toxic people or people who just aren't right for me, who drain my energy, versus being around positive people and people who help me to build my energy back up. I learned a ton through this process about myself. Okay, so a lot of times we're looking and looking and looking for these flags. And what we also need to be looking at is, how do I feel? We're going to keep going because we're going to talk more about that. So sharing very little. There's no need for them to know. There really isn't. Until you have something established where, here's the other problem. A lot of times what I met was a lot of people who were survivors. Of course, what am I going to attract, right? Which is kind of funny, but it's true. So many people that were survivors over and over and over again, and they didn't even know it. I just heard the story and I'm like, whoa, they were with a toxic person. Not because they were talking bad about the person, but because of the way they talked about themselves. I could feel it. I could feel it, and then it would come out with certain people that, oh yeah, have you ever heard of narcissism? That's what my therapist told me. My ex was a narcissist. I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm like, yeah, maybe I do know a little bit about that. But what that set up is a friendship based on somebody else's pain. It took away any chance that it made me feel they weren't ready. Really, they weren't ready to be doing this because they were still needing to heal that part of their life more. So you say very little, in my opinion. All right. It also keeps a toxic person, if they are a narcissistic person or a toxic person, will eat up that piece of vulnerability that you're sharing. All right. So it really doesn't serve you either way to be telling people a whole bunch. The INFJ I met shared everything about her abused childhood, thinking that was being authentic. I was cringing. She wasn't draining. Right. And people do. I think personally for myself, I didn't share a whole lot until I knew the person, and there's still a lot to be shared. Right. And I think that, I don't think it's fair to a new relationship or a new friendship or anything to be dumping all that into it right off the bat anyway. We can be authentic without telling every piece of ourselves. Okay, that's just dumping, right? So, okay. Oh, hello, Belle. You didn't receive the text. Oh, you know what? Sometimes it's super late. Okay. All right. See how you feel after being around a person. Yes, okay. All right, so now let me go to the next question. Can predators sense us? Yes, they can. Enough said? Yes, they can. Okay. Narcissists in particular have a radar. They can feel when someone's needy, when someone's vulnerable. They're going to go after that. That's why you got to know your vulnerabilities and know that if you're sharing them, you are potentially opening up to someone that could be toxic. Doesn't mean they are, just because they respond to a vulnerability. We have to share our vulnerabilities eventually with a partner, right? But we don't have to before we know them a week. Okay, so understand that anyone you meet as well, dating or friendship, could turn out to be wrong for your life, whether it be they're toxic, narcissistic, some other personality disorder, or simply just not right for your life, or in a state of their own emotional intelligence and growth where they don't match yours to a degree where it isn't healthy. So we have to, there's a lot of reasons we may or may not need to walk away from people. And predators absolutely can, what did she say? They smell fear. They must be like bees. Yeah, they smell the pheromones or something. I don't know. Okay. What to look for and listen for. Really hear what they're saying. Okay. What to look for and listen for when you're meeting new people. The dating sense, when you're meeting new people, what to look for and listen for. I don't know. What do you need? What do you want for your life? If you don't know what you want for your life, you're not ready to date. Unless you just want to date casual. Unless you're just like, I just want hookups, and that's okay. And that's okay if that's what you want, right? But if you're talking about looking for a partner, you got to know what you want. You got to know what, and I'm not talking about like hair color and, superficial things. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But but really deeply, what do you want for your life? I need a high level of communication. I talk a lot and I need it to come back toward me. I need amazing communication or it ain't going to work, right? I know the things I need. I know the things that make me feel cared for, nurtured, loved, so on and so forth, right? And those things need to be at least have a large potential for their presence. And again, we don't want to chase potential, but we can see it, right? So if you don't know what you need, then how do you know what you're looking for? Now, what to look for and listen for as far as somebody being toxic: consistency, empathy. How do you sense empathy? You can sense empathy in many ways. You can see how they respond to situations in life. Is it the same? Is it consistent when they respond to a different situation in life? When you tell a story, what's their response? When they tell a story, how are they telling it? It takes time and a lot of paying attention to watch for empathy. You can hear it. You can see it in people's eyes. You can feel it when you walk away from them, whether they just pulled on your empathy and left you hanging or whether they were sharing something. You got to watch out for the coverts. So really it's going and watching the videos on what covert narcissism is, understanding people who are highly codependent can be just as toxic, right? You don't want that either. We want healthy people because we're aiming to be healthy people. The healthier you become, the less you're going to be tolerant of any of the stuff that someone toxic is going to throw at you. You're going to be hurt and sad when someone disappoints you, and that's okay. It's part of the process. All right. When they talk about how much worse they've been to others, like bragging, big old red flag. Oh, heck yeah. I just did a whole video on red flags this week. So I would watch that, and everybody else has videos on red flags you can watch. There's a lot of info out there on the red flags. That's why I'm not talking about them specifically today. But yeah, you look for the red flags. You'll listen for consistency. You listen for compatibility traits that are real, not ones you're fabricating because you want this person to fit into a box. You listen and you look and you watch for both their idealizing you and you idealizing them. That could be a covert narcissist. Or it could just be someone totally amazed that you actually had this amazing connection. You don't know. So there's like you look at the whole person, not just what you want from the situation. And you listen to your intuition, your gut, and your instincts, and you watch the other person's behavior as well as your own around them. If you're changing, something's off. If you're people pleasing right off the bat, something's going on, whether it be you or them. You watch for love bombing. Love bombing is interesting. When you've had the experience of true attention versus love bombing, it can be hard to distinguish because people get excited. You're supposed to get excited, right? That's the whole point. You're supposed to click. And without a little bit of extra affection that you would not normally have later on in a relationship, for us, it feels like love bombing. So you got to watch the big picture, not just each individual thing. Each individual thing clicking together, yeah, then you form a big picture. So I had a hard time with the love bombing piece too, but I think the difference is everything felt genuine and wasn't over the top. While it was very excited, it was not over the top, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to keep going. There's a lot here. Okay, other question. Somebody asked about acknowledging our body cues. So yes, that's important. Trusting your gut, listening to your body. When I'm around someone who's draining, I'm so tired, it only takes 10 to 15 minutes. Hi, Luna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Thumbs up, all that stuff. And welcome. We're talking about dating after narcissistic abuse today. And that's it. Okay. Yes, the honeymoon phase is quite different from love bombing. It is, but for us, it feels like love bombing. Even with friends. I have had amazing people come into my life, and I didn't trust them for a while because they were love bombing me. Right? That's just friends. So yeah, while all that really was somebody being really appreciative, and we do it to each other in here, right? We gosh, right? But it's okay. We have to it's watching the whole thing Hello, hello. Is that Klaza? Klaza? Okay. Wah! Okay. Blurry. There we go. Okay, back to the dating stuff. All right. Listening to your body, listening to your gut, listening to your intuition, listening to the way you feel. Okay, so for myself, the way empathy works for me is I go out and I hang out with someone, could be anyone. I walk away, and when I walk away, I feel a piece of them stuck, like whatever their energy is. I'm empathizing with it in a sense. It affects me. If someone affects me and I feel drained, if I feel fuzzy headed, if I feel like I'm in a fog, if I feel sick, if I just don't feel right, regardless of what that person did, I may give them one or two more chances just to see if I'm having an off day. That means that to me, that means they're not for me, regardless of whether they're toxic or not, because I can't function when it's like that, right? It's part of why I spend a lot of time alone, but it's also when it's not like that, it's amazing. Okay, so listening to your body, listening to your gut, all of that. Okay, you feel the energy, yes, good, bad, or draining, right? We feel it. How do you shake off and heal from trauma bondings driving me mental? I cannot sleep. Okay, trauma bonding. I'm gonna take a little pause in the dating here and answer you, Lynette. Self-care, like crazy. Patience. Self-care, I don't just mean go get a manicure and a massage. I mean the way you talk to yourself, the way you keep the room around yourself in a state that you like, the way you feed yourself, the way things, the way you're literally caring for yourself as if you would care for someone else. That kind of stuff. Lots and lots and lots of it. Be patient with yourself. It takes a couple months sometimes, minimally. Okay, be patient. Be patient. No contact. None. If you have to have contact, understand that it is pulling you back into the trauma bonding, and you got to resist it every time, and it will eventually. The whole point of breaking the trauma bond is to become indifferent from that to that narcissistic person, so that you can live your own life, right? Instead of living this life where you're attached to this person that is so bad for you. So keep focusing on you and keep focusing forward on what you want. Find if you need the group coaching, it's available. You can check the main description of every video. I have links to it there. And sometimes that helps to have a group. It can help to have the coaching support with it if you're really feeling stuck and going crazy with it. I have at least 2 or 3 videos recently on trauma bonding. So go back and watch those. If you have any questions when you're watching them, put them in the comments and I will reply as soon as I see them within the week. Okay. Or quicker. I usually look every day. So there's that. Okay, we're gonna go back to the dating stuff. All right. Let's see. And it does take time. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Keep moving forward. See the little successes that you are having. Engage with joy. Find joy in your life. I'm not sugarcoating, and I'm not saying just go out and be positive. I don't believe in that. I think we have to grieve what we have to grieve, and also there's positive in the world, so you can hold both, and learning to hold both teaches you that you can get through it, I think. Okay, so okay, there's a few of those. All right, back to dating. Here we go. How to not jump and think everyone is a narcissist. Again, the more you know about yourself. I didn't write anything down on these are just winging these, guys. Okay. How to not jump and think everyone is a narcissist. Don't take things so personally. It doesn't matter if they're a narcissist. We don't need to label them. They are good for my life. They are not good for my life. That's all I needed to know. And I think, like I said, I met a lot of people, and I think only 2 were potentially narcissists. Potentially, I don't know. Can't diagnose people. 1 admitted to be. So 1 is probably, we could say for sure. And I said, interesting. You made it past my screening. Right on. Let's keep going. Tell me more about this. Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. So not taking it, I guess, not jumping to the conclusion that someone is toxic too soon is in paying attention to yourself, what you're feeling, what you're noticing, how someone makes you feel, and paying attention to what they're actually doing. And don't justify it. Just watch it. It's like if you can watch it without judgment and just weigh it. Like it's like weighing it versus judging it or justifying it. Like, oh yeah, they're that way, but they just said that they've had a really bad day. It's no excuse sometimes for someone to treat you like crap, right? If they're gonna do that when they have okay, so if someone has a bad day and they're all grumpy, do I want that in my life? I want someone who has a bad day to go, I've had a bad day. What do you need? I don't know, like I need this, whatever. I need people that communicate rather than take it out on other people. So I think it's watching behaviors. It's watching behaviors over time. And okay, how to have a healthy friendships with potential partners. That's a good question. How do you have a healthy friendship with a potential partner? In other words, how do you keep it from being just sex and letting the sex make you think you're in love, right? Or just the attraction? Well, what do you have in common? What do you have? And I don't just mean events. What do you have in common really? Where's the commonality? How do you communicate? What happens when you have things that are a little challenging to communicate about? What do you do with friends? What interests do you share? Do you share laughter? To me, laughter is like the number one thing in friendships, right? It's a big piece. I can be someone's acquaintance without the laughter. If I laugh with them, they become a friend, usually, unless they're toxic. You can laugh with toxic people too, but in the beginning. So it's looking for the things that you need in friendships and seeing if it applies to this person. That's what I'd say there. Let's see. Are you guys asking anything? Do I like being around this person as I am? Yes. Do I like being around this person as I am? Trust and then keeping your secrets is a big too. Yes. Loyalty, watching for people's loyalties and your own towards them. Without it being justifying, okay? Because you can get really loyal to a narcissist really fast because they force it, all right? Somebody that just displays loyalty by how they talk about their friends and family and the fairness in which they discuss things and the openness. It is a needle in a haystack finding healthy people, but it's if you're going to do it, you might as well do it, right? How to learn from past patterns. What are your patterns? What are your patterns? Stop looking to the other person's toxicity. Look to yourself. You cannot control other people. You need to understand and be aware of the red flags. Yes, 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 yes. But if you're not working on your piece, you're not becoming the healthiest partner you could be, and you're not going to attract as healthy of people. Does that make sense? Because they're looking for it too, hopefully. They're watching for your safety as well, hopefully, right? So how to learn from past patterns, you got to know what the past patterns are. What are the patterns that you saw? So I saw that I fell into the love bombing because I was in need of attention, okay? I was in need of attention, which left vulnerability in a place in me that had to do with abandonment. Wham, right there, big old open door for a narcissist, right? Okay, that was a pattern. It was a pattern multiple times in my life. I had to watch it. You have to own it. You have to own your patterns. And when you see yourself slipping into them, step back, set a boundary, see what happens. Somebody healthy will respect that boundary or talk it through with you in a different way. You won't feel them pushing or pulling you in from it, right? Somebody pulling you in is, scary. All right, question. When they don't respect no contact, any suggestions? Oh, they're not gonna respect it. You just hold it. You just maintain it. If you need a restraining order, you get it. It's part of going no contact. Sometimes can be that they don't respect it. They don't believe that. They always think they own you, right? So they're just pushing, and you just got to maintain it. I mean, I don't know the exact situation, so I can't say much more than that, but maintaining the no contact. If it's in person, you can say, I do not wish to talk to you if you continue to harass me, and say it in publicly, put your video on, whatever you can do. If you continue to harass me, I will have a restraining order against you. Bam, done, right? hopping my fence, busting in my place, took my keys. Get a camera and get video recording of them hopping your fence and send it to the police and get a restraining order. Some people need the law, right, to stop them. And why do narcissists envy so much, even if they have more than you? Because they are not happy, healthy individuals, and they always want what they don't have, right? It's all ego-based. Everything is based on their being the greatest thing ever and them having anything they want. There's an entitlement, right? I believe now time is the greatest test of the one. Yes. Or even someone worth your time. Time is a good one. Thank you. All right. Frankendoll. Hello, Frankendoll. Feed off from your energy. That's why they crave contact. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. I saw when a pretty woman looked at me, I would go all mushy. Yeah, I've noticed that. So patterns. Okay, back to this topic. And again, I like that you guys are asking your own questions too. Thank you, because it keeps it moving. All right. Let's see. How to date. Okay, how to date socially rather than one at a time, and how to not be exclusive right away, and how to talk about that. That's a good point. It was my approach, okay, to not jump into something exclusive or physical right away. Because this is getting to know people time. This isn't you're the one time, right? When it clicks, it's different. It feels different, and it gives you that space to not be so attached to, and this isn't for everyone, right? So this person's asking how to do it, how to talk about that. You say, hey, this is great. How do you feel about dating? Are you a person that needs a commitment right away? What is your, how do you work this for yourself? You ask them what they need, and you tell them what you need. I am keeping things from being physical for a while, or whatever you're doing, and I am just meeting people and getting to know them, and when it clicks, it will click, and then it'll be, when it works, it'll work. And I'm honest, and be honest about it, that if we decide to take this another level, then we can talk. If we're just going to go out to dinner, then I go out to dinner with a couple people, and that's okay, right? It's just like you would with friends. You don't have just one friend until you become exclusive, and then you talk about that. So really that's about how to learn to communicate with people, right? So glad I subbed you. Yay! I jumped. Hello, 3 Joseph. Okay. What are we saying? Okay. Yay, Angie. Okay. You are the one for you, says Violet. Yes, you are. And the right person for your life will resonate with that. And they will bring the feeling of you-ness to you even more, because they will be looking at you. Somebody that is healthy for you sees you, and they want you to be authentically yourself. And they themselves feel the freedom of that authenticity for themselves. It is so freeing to be with someone that enjoys who you are and lets you be yourself, versus is trying to control you and push you into a little box of idealization, especially after toxic abuse, because that box is not going to fly anymore, right? And yet, so yes, you're right. You are the one for you. And anyone that is meant to be in your life in a good, positive way will help you, will exaggerate that feeling. Okay. All right. What do we have here? How to reach out on dating apps. Oh, you just do. You just say, hey, what's up? And you have conversations. When you're on a dating app, okay, a lot of people are terrified of them. I am not terrified of them, but I screen a lot, do a lot of talking, a lot of chatting, and didn't meet a lot of people. I met who I chose to meet. And like I said, it was interesting. like most people were just not ready. Like I said, it wasn't terrible. Okay, it wasn't scary or toxic. But how to reach out, a lot of that was a lot of chatting, a lot of discussion of lives and what you do with yourself, what you do with your time, what you do with your life, not so much the flirtatious stuff, more like interesting, who are you kind of questions. Who are you on the other end of this app that I've never met before, or person that is a stranger on the internet, right? The same as you might meet any one of us. You keeping it real, keeping it and the questions you actually want to know about, what's important to your life, things like that. And then if you meet, you keep that going, right? That's the only way I know how to reach out. How do you pre-screen without too many questions? You ask a bunch of questions. Who cares? You ask questions. You don't want to grill people. And depending on your personality type, that's going to come out differently with the way you ask questions. So you ask questions. People enjoy talking about themselves as long as they're not being grilled, right? You offer questions back. You offer your reply to them about who you are. All right. Three Joseph says, I wrote an extensive piece on Reddit's page. Feel like I'm the only one talking about this on the entire internet. My question is why? About manipulations used by total strangers. I would have to think about it and talk about it. I'll happily talk about that. I have to think about it. I think I talk about it vaguely throughout a lot of videos that the world is kind of, we don't communicate in a very healthy way in the world, even with strangers. So I would have to think on that one. Jack says, how do I stop going mushy? I guess practice catching it right. You're an INFP, right? Is that right? If you're an INFP, you're going to be mushy, my friend. It's part of your charm. But applying some logic to the feelings, that's understanding why you have those feelings. Are you just falling into somebody because it feels good, or are you watching who they are and really appreciating something within the communication, and that's why you're feeling mushy? Sometimes that helps to know why you're feeling what you're feeling. All right. How should you give a first impression to new people when you don't have boundaries in general? Winter first, you get boundaries. You understand that your boundaries are important. What you need and want for your life matters. And you create boundaries. You look where your boundaries are weak, and you start working on them. Start working on the boundaries. You don't want to leave yourself wide open without boundaries, because one of the major things you're looking for when you're meeting new people is, how do they respect your boundaries? Of course, people might question, or I mean, if you say, oh, let's go out, and I'm like, no, I can't. And you say, oh, come on. That's just playing. Okay. It's a pushing, or doing it over and over again, or really not hearing why, then they're pushing your boundaries. So if you don't have any, then you don't know how to watch and feel for when someone's messing with them. So start working on it. It's a great place to begin. When the very first question is where to start, that's where to start. It's important for your whole life, is the boundaries. Okay. Hello, Miss Beba. Even the fact that he was a narcissist, I was attached to him and had no intentions to leave him. Eventually, he became my dom. Yeah, especially in situations like that, the trauma bonding is combined with the control of a BDSM type of relationship that is in place because people enjoy that sort of play. When it becomes, yeah. So yeah, it sounds right to me. What do you do with the anxiety when you've been with someone a few months and really like them, but are feeling triggered by the feelings even though they've done nothing wrong? Thank you, Life After Toxic Relationship. Yes, that is a good question. And it is real. When you get with someone and you meet someone and all the little boxes are ticked and you're not seeing a whole lot of red flags, if any. If anything, you see something like this and you realize you are the red flag. Your anxiety is the red flag, because it is going to jump into that relationship and destroy it if you don't watch it, right? You own it. Okay. It feels too good to be true, and I feel tempted to sabotage it. Totally get you. Totally feel ya. I totally get this. And yes. So owning the fact that you have anxiety and understanding where it's coming from. It's coming from your past triggers. Okay. If this person has done nothing and you're seeing no red flags, we all have little quirks. We all have things that, whatever, but red flags. If you're watching, you're paying attention, try to understand what the anxiety is actually saying. What are you asking for? For myself, it triggered my fear of abandonment hugely, hugely. The second I felt myself open up to someone, it literally was the next day. And then I was like, I'm going to destroy this because I can't get a grip on this anxiety. But I did. It took about 2 days, 2 to 3 days. I had a conversation with them after. Okay. I spent a couple days alone and took a lot of walks. And I talked to a friend of mine who is really great with me. And they asked me the first time I ever felt this feeling. And I could trace it way, way, way back to a very young age. And then I worked on inner child stuff. And so I realized this anxiety has nothing to do with this new person. All this new person did is open me up to myself, something I needed to see and heal. I owned it. Okay, so own the anxiety, see what you need to heal back in your past, give yourself what you needed. Just do the work, right? And as you're doing that, you can have a conversation. Hopefully, if it's been a few months, you said, right? Been a few months, you should be able to be having intelligent, emotional conversation at this point, right? I would think. Maybe. I don't know the nature of the relationship, but I would think might be worth saying, wow, I had a lot of anxiety this week. I realized it triggered some of my old stuff. I've been working on it, and I kind of appreciate that it happened because now I feel better. Or if you do, right? Not to give them a bunch of information about your vulnerabilities, maybe this soon, or maybe you can, I don't know. So does that make sense? All right. And it happens. Let me tell you guys, after toxic abuse, when you open up to someone again, these triggers happen. You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready to just ride it through, take responsibility for your own healing, just like you have been. It's part of maintaining autonomy, and it's part of maintaining you being who you are and your authenticity of who you are. Is taking care and growing your own emotional intelligence alongside someone else. And somebody who is safe will let you do that. Somebody who is safe, you will feel safe in doing that. All right. Over time, it is the only way you can really tell, right? Okay. All right. What am I missing here? So many ways. Lise, where do you start with the inner child work? Coaching? I don't know. Come join me and let's do it. Depends on what it is. For me, I needed to understand that what I felt in this anxiety, in this particular situation, came from a very young place, and that it is not, I can't give the young part of me that has that fear the words of an adult. I needed to feel what it feels like to be hugged, feel what it feels like to be listened to, go play a little bit like a child, right? And as I did those things and I allowed myself space to do those things, to just go be playful and just go play or kind of pout in the corner and hug my pillow or whatever I needed to do, like a child might do. But with awareness that I'm doing this on purpose, it's sort of helped. It's still there. You just saw my inner child. She's here all the time. Okay. Yeah. So that's one way. Reparenting yourself. What do you need to hear? What did you need to hear? Well, if you were soothing a child that went through whatever it was that created your trauma, what would you need to hear? What would you tell them? What did they need to hear? Sitting with it long enough, being patient with it, feeling the grief of it, feeling the nurturing you're giving yourself to it. It sounds silly, but it actually starts to help. All right. Let's see. What else? Did I miss anything? If I miss a question, you guys, new people, especially if you're not used to me, hit me up again with the question because I have a hard time scrolling. I'm doing too many things at once. Books. Yeah, I'll think about it. I don't have any off the top of my head. I'm really bad with that. I don't do honestly a whole lot of learning through that kind of education. I'm more of an experiential person. The reason I suggested coaching is because there are NLP exercises that you can do to kind of like help you get perspective. Perspective is huge. Okay. All right. So, what else with the dating? Back to the dating. Okay. How do you? I hope I never lose my childlike behavior. I know, right? Okay. Shelly's saying, "Is there such a thing?" Hi, Shelly. Is there such a thing as too soon for dating again after toxic relationship? If you are not ready, it's too soon. How do you know if you're ready? Are you vulnerable to your, like we started with? Are you vulnerable to the things that make you vulnerable? Right? Are you are you looking for validation from other people? We all do this much. Of course, it feels good to be told, "Oh, you're so pretty," or whatever by some person. Of course, but is that the only thing filling my cup? Right? No. Are you trying to heal your wounds by having someone else come in and distract you? Are you? I'd say usually for most people they say a year. I think it depends how much self care, how much work you're putting into your healing, how much how much you're able to see clearly the this is the abuse and this is me versus it all mixed together, right? Do you feel like a survivor or like you're thriving? How close are you to that? So, are you ready to take on the responsibility of a relationship? That's huge. Taking on the responsibility of a relationship. Things like that. That's what I would ask myself. That's how you know you're ready. All right. Or some ways. Um let's see. Okay. Okay. What we're almost at an hour, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna do a few more and then I'm gonna come back with more of these Thursday. More of these or something related to it. I want to talk more about ourselves when we're going out there and re-engaging in the world, whether it be dating or friendships, and what we come up against. Sort of like the questions that Life After Abuse had about the anxiety, things like that. I want to talk more about that because you know what comes up more? Don't look for red flags for very long. What I notice is stuff in myself. That's what I was noticing over and over. And as it progressed, I changed and I changed myself and I grew and I healed a lot more through this process. Okay, so okay. Yes, Jack understands. Okay. So let's do one more and then I'm going to head out for today. Uh, uh, uh. How do you see what is, not what you see as potential? How do you see what is? You look at what is right in front of you. If you're a person that falls into your emotions really fast, then you might make lists of what is being shown to you about this person and what you wish would be about that person. We all see potential as empathic people. We see the person's potential. Look at who they are and who they present themselves as and what they're doing with their lives and how they're moving in their lives and the way that they react and interact with their children, with their friends, with their families, how they talk about their exes. They can have a toxic ex and not say nasty things. They can say, you know what? It was a really hard relationship. That's all you need to say. That, in fact, is a good thing to say. I had a really hard relationship. People don't need a whole lot more than that in the beginning, right? So, yeah. I think DK, I think they were looking for books for inner child healing. And that's why I'm like, I have to think. Luna, I am live most Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So 4 times a week. I do not have a regular time because my schedule changes, but I try to come on not too late in the afternoon and not too early in the morning. So text me at 33222, put the word Lise Live, Lise, as one word and hit send, and you'll get a text 10 minutes prior to. If you hit the subscribe button here and then the notification button, it'll also notify you from here. And if you're on Span, I always post a link. So, okay. Let's see. I think we're going to stop with this topic today, and we're going to come back to it with the rest of the questions because there's a whole bunch more. If you guys have questions on this, leave them in the main comment of this, not in the chat here. Go to the main comments later and ask away, and I'll add them to Thursdays. All right. I think we need to heal Chris from all narcissists, male or female, right? And I try to speak very gender less about it because there are toxic people of both genders. And men, a lot of times, do not have the support because we say he all the time when we're talking about a narcissist. But honestly, the women can be narc mom. Are you kidding me? Maybe the scariest, awful thing, right? So, yeah. Okay. Do you know about no contact with toxic families? I do. I do. Yes. I do help people with that often. No contact with toxic families. And it is hard because what you're talking about there isn't no contact with one person. You're talking about no contact with a system of narcissism that is set up when you're talking about, again, we're going to come back to the dating later. I'm going to finish what I'm answering. Was it Klaza? And then I'm going to end. Okay. So, yes, when you're talking about dealing with going no contact with a toxic family, it's not just going no contact with a person, it's going no contact with an entire system. The scapegoat, probably you, or the savior, or the fixer, probably you. The golden child, the other the narcissistic siblings, the lost child, the one that can just drift away and get away with not participating and no one's mad at them because they're not the scapegoat. The toxic parents, whether it be the mother or the father. If you have both, then you have a dynamic going on there. If you have one and then the enabler parent, you have an entire system. And if one piece is pulled out of that system, you being the scapegoat, most likely, the whole system starts to crumble and they turn on you because they need you to plug in and be this perfect little happy scapegoat or unhappy scapegoat in order for that system to work. So yes, I know a bunch about going no contact with toxic families. Okay. All right. You are the scapegoat. And you know how I guess that? Because most of us are, right? Yes, I know about that stuff, and we can talk about that. Yeah, it's a system, right? It's like an organism. It's like if there's 5 people, those 5 people are acting as one. And like the narcissistic mother may have their narcissistic child go out and do their bidding in the world and do all the dirty work so they can look like they're clean, their hands are clean, right? And do the bidding against you and draw you back in. And it is an entire system and it's very toxic. Yes, post questions, you guys, in the main comments. If they're in here, I lose them. So, all right, you guys, it was a blessing to have you all here as well. And yes, welcome to the newcomers. Thank you, Angie. And I think that's it. I'll be back, not tomorrow, Thursday. Be back Thursday. If I am on a Wednesday, it's just on a whim. My Wednesdays get crazy. Okay. That's it. If you guys need coaching or group coaching, find me in the main comments, the main description of every video. There are links to individual coaching as well as the group coaching that goes on. What time, I cannot tell you. That is my variable as it is right now. I'm really trying to firm up sometimes, and it hasn't happened yet in my life. So sometime Thursday, sometime before evening Pacific, not too late in the day. Yes, you're welcome, Belle. Okay, all right, and I think that's it. I think that's it. Got it. Okay, you guys, you take care. I will see you Thursday. More on dating. Gonna gear it more, finish off these questions here and answer any that you guys might have, but also gear it more toward what happens to us when we re-engage in new relationships, in the whole dating scene, in friendship scene, whatever. What happens with us? Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.